truly unbothered. Let me just tell you something. Flirt till you die, baby. Hell no, absolutely not. Duh. Now you're blocked. And I don't care. What would a hot girl do? We're gonna get into it. That's why we're hot and unbothered. Get ready. Hi girlfriends, welcome back to Hot and Unbothered. I'm Nina. This is your weekly guide to style, standards, and everything in between. This week we're talking about self-love. I started my self-love journey a full year ago at this point. It has truly been transformative. Like, I can't even explain it to you, but I'm gonna try. And I just wanna share everything I've learned in hopes that this helps someone else start their journey, continue their journey, and I just wanna share all the tips and tricks and things I've learned to help the girls. Focusing on self-love for the past year really was one of the best decisions I've ever made. But there's been ups, there's been downs, there's been lessons learned, and I just want to share in case there's at least one girl that it makes feel more confident. Before we kick things off, I want to share my favorite podcast review that I got last week. It says, "I've been listening to your new episodes and honestly love them. Your take on mindset and confidence was super refreshing, such a fun and motivating listen." Hearing this coming from an outside perspective means so much because that means in 2 episodes of being here, I'm doing exactly what I was trying to do and not needing to explain that to anyone. It's coming off exactly as I want it to, and I'm so happy about that. I know I'm super tough when it comes to self-improvement and self-love and just using that to motivate other women, but it's because I care. I think there's a lot of work that we can all do, including myself. So basically the whole point of this is to just share all of our tips and tricks with each other and make the world a hotter place. It is so crazy. I do feel like we're in a time right now where women are fucking killing it. And I love that so much. Anything I can do to make that bigger, better, faster, stronger, let's go, And that's why we're here. So while we're on the topic of that being my favorite review of last week, please go leave this podcast a 5-star rating because again, I want to share more of this with more women and just help out in any way I can. So a 5-star review will be you helping me help other people. Next, we'll move into our hot topics session. This is where we talk about anything from pop culture, hot takes, or just society in general. You girls submitted some hot topics this week, so let's talk about those. Okay, first is I need your updates on Summer House. If you missed last week's episode, I was talking about how I never really got into reality TV, and I watched a couple of episodes of Summer House for the first time ever. I don't have a Bravo subscription, so I'm watching like the vault that comes on my TV for free. So I guess, these episodes are years and years old. I think I've seen 2 episodes at this point. Anyway, the girls are iconic. I mean, they are the modern day Spice Girls. Paige is posh, Amanda is baby, Lindsay is spicy, Hannah is sporty. I mean, they are iconic. So that's my thoughts on that so far. The only thing they are missing on that show is a Jersey girl. Anyway, I'm loving it so far. I do think I'm going to get a Bravo subscription to watch this season of Summer House. I'm not going to go get caught up on all the old seasons, but a girl, Bailey, is on this season, and I met her, I think, in Paris one time at an event. She was really nice. She has this cute Instagram series called It Girls where she does street style interviews, and I love that. So I kind of want to watch this season for her. And then also Rachel Zoe, my icon, the legend, is on a Housewives franchise this year, and I need to watch that. Like, I just need to see her outfits. That's it. So I'm becoming a Bravo girl, and it's about damn time. All right, next hot topic. Is a military jacket the new barn jacket? So last week we talked about barn jackets being, I think it was just a hot trend of the moment. And yeah, I don't really see people wearing them anymore because it's not everyone's style. It's boxy, it's casual. It very much is giving Carhartt. Super cute on some people. And I do 1,000% think this military jacket trend is going to be in and out just as fast. I would not recommend adding one to your closet. That really is a trend I think I'm going to have to pass on. Next hot topic. I had a boss tell me this one time. I did not realize how much I roll my eyes when I speak. And I had to look into this because I'm like, what am I doing? So I know that I'm super expressive and I don't have a poker face. Like I make just crazy facial expressions. I didn't know that my eyes were part of that. So now I know. I have no idea how many conversations I've accidentally rolled my eyes at people, but basically it's a verbal exclamation point. So I'm just really excited about whatever I'm saying and I'm rolling my eyes. Another reason is cognitive overload. I am so smart. There's just too much information up here that it's coming out through my eyeballs. I mean, this is what the internet says, so I'm not making it up. It could also be a side effect of mild anxiety and overstimulation. Not a shocker. It's a learned habit for expressive speakers. If you grew up around sarcastic humor or people who talk with their whole face, your body picks it up as part of communication. So, would like to thank my parents for that one. Final hot topic, thoughts on the winter snowstorm. I hate it. I hate winter. Like it really is my least favorite season. I'm trying so hard to be more open to the cold weather. We can't change the weather, so you just got to live through it. But I would truly be very happy if the weather never went below 50 degrees, because in 50-degree weather, you can still wear a fur coat. You can do all of the cute winter accessory things. Anything below 50 is unnecessary, truly unnecessary. Another thing I think that's interesting about all of this is the timeline shift in seasons. I think back like 10, 15, 20 years ago, winter very much was November, December, January. Now I feel like winter doesn't start really until January, which I had a couple 70-degree days in December and I will never complain about that. I think all of this weather is good information for me when deciding where I want to live at what part of the year. So next January, maybe next December, I would love to be in LA. I feel like I would be so much more productive there because I haven't left the house in a whole week at this point. Like my body, my brain, everything's spiraling. I need a workout. I need a walk outside. I need vitamin D. I need sunshine. So let's put this out there. I want to spend next January in LA. Thank you very much. Fingers crossed. So we start each episode with a soft launch, and what I want to soft launch this week while we're on the topic of self-love is a quote that I heard. I love a good quote, motivational, inspiring. You can apply it to everyday life. What the quote is, the more you love yourself, the less you need anyone else to. It's so good. It's so true. This goes for relationships, friendships, random people on the internet. Like the more you learn to love yourself, the less you care what anyone else has to say. There's so much power in that. We need to remember. Add that to your vision board. Okay, so moving on to our advice you didn't ask for section, we're gonna get deep in the self-love talk today. I'm gonna give you tips. I'm gonna tell you how I got here and why, and hope that there's someone who takes away something good from this. How this whole thing started is I felt like I was the person who was always in a relationship. I've always been in like a 3-year long-term relationship, and I never really have taken time for myself. And throughout the years, I've heard people say, well, you need to just focus on yourself. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what does that mean? And I was just caring way too much about what other people thought about me. I was surrounding myself with the wrong groups of people. And it was because I didn't value what I had to offer. And if you don't value what you have to offer, how can anyone else? Before you begin your journey, what you need to know is that self-love isn't selfish. It is the key to strong foundations for relationships, for business, for confidence, for decision-making, for your whole entire life. You are the most important person in your goddamn life, right? One thing I realized on this journey is that we all start out with self-love and self-confidence. And then throughout our childhood and young adult years, the leeches of the world will try to knock you down and dim your light. And way too many of us let that happen. These are things that I wish I noticed 10, 15 years ago. And I wish I started working on all of this so much sooner. The world would have been a better, brighter, happier place, I'm telling you. So when you have these people who are jabbing and picking and poking, of course you're going to question yourself. You're going to be like, is what they're saying true? Even if it's not. When you hear it so many times and you're hearing external thoughts versus working on your own, you are going to be like, I'm questioning myself a little bit now. So part of the work of self-love is learning how to protect that energy. Noticing when someone's trying to dull your shine and not let the externals define you. So I'm going to give you an example of this happening. This is recent. I post on the internet, and of course that invites people to feel like they are entitled to an opinion, which they are, but sometimes very unnecessary. So I'm posting just like a cute, happy video of my outfit. I'm smiling, like I'm spinning, I'm just being cute. And a man feels the need to say, get over yourself. I'm just like, where is your mother? Who raised you? You know, I saw it and moved on because I don't care. Who cares what this random ass man has to say? But like, why are there people when I'm being happy and having fun wanting to tear you down? That's all it is, right? Get over myself. Why? Why would I want to get over myself? You're supposed to love yourself. Like that, this is craziness. The marbles are lost here. Another example of this happening over the past couple years was with girls. So I had noticed every time I try to make a new friend or hang out with like a new girl local, about a month later, they hang out with this other girl. Every time they hang out with this other girl, they're joking about like spilling tea and like things along that line. And then all of a sudden, after hanging out with this other girl, they stop hanging out with me. Just kind of like stop supporting my content. And I'm like, okay, that's odd. Could totally be coincidental. It has happened 5 different times. I'm like, it's fine because these are not the type of people I want to be friends with anyway, that live off of gossip and spilling tea. So I just had to like let it happen. If I had not started this self-love journey, I think this would have drove me crazy because in a way it feels unfair. It feels like someone else gets to define who I am. But that's really not it at all. It really is just someone wanting to not see you succeed, not see you have friends. There really are just always going to be people, and you could be Mother Teresa, an angel straight from heaven herself, and there will still be people who do not want you to succeed. They do not want you to have friends. They do not want you to be seen in a good light. They want to dull your shine. And before I started this self-love journey, again, it would have really hurt my feelings, and it did hurt a little bit, but now I see it so much clearer. After doing this work, I see all of the good things in myself that people who love me see. So if other people don't want to see the good things and they only want to see whatever negative picture they've heard that's been painted by someone else, that's not my painting. That's not my portrait. So that doesn't matter to me. And you cannot let that happen to you, okay? Promise me. There's a quote about that. It's something along the lines of, your story about me is not my truth. And I like that one too. I watched these first 2 podcast episodes back and I'm like, wow, she is glowing. She is magnetic. Is this what other people see? Because before I did this self-love journey and before I did the work, I didn't see any of this. I thought, what do people see in me? What do my friends see in me? What do my partners see in me? Thank God I don't feel that way anymore. That's toxic. And now I'm like, she is that bitch. And I want everyone to feel that way. I want you girls to feel how I feel right now. And call it cocky. Call it whatever you want. That's so much better than being unhappy, questioning yourself, anxious all the time. I want to give some of this glow to you. I really wish I could I feel like I have extra rays to share at this point. Like, here you go. And it will, if I'm a ray of sunshine, I will give you a beam and a beam will grow right back. Like, there's plenty of love to share, Okay, so I want to share my top 3 self-love tricks before I get into any of the details of this. So step 1 is just general awareness of how you're feeling and how you're thinking about yourself. Are you still doing negative self-talk? Are you comparing? Are you letting other people's opinions about you matter? General awareness of how you're feeling about yourself. And if any of these are true, we need to work on it. We need to get to work because we can't have you feeling like that. Step 2, I say this so often and it is so, so, so important. You are the sum of the people that you surround yourself with. So if you're surrounding yourself with gossip girls, you're going to support your friends, right? Like if your friend's always complaining about someone, you're going to be like, oh yeah, she does seem like that. And it's like, if you're surrounding yourself with someone who's negative all the time and like, woe is me and the world sucks and life sucks, that energy is going to rub off on you. If you're surrounding yourself with someone who's toxic or someone who surrounds their self with other toxic people, that toxicity, the energy is shared. Like that is gonna rub off on you. And I'm guilty of this. I was friends with the gossip girls. I was friends with the judgmental Judies. So I thought about what I want my close circle to look like. And I thought about, I have great friends that I've had for over 20 years at this point. What qualities do all of my current best friends have that I want anyone new in my circle to have? And one of the biggest things that they all had in common was their self-confidence. I had rarely heard these girls say anything negative about themselves. They just love themselves and they're successful in their careers. They're not hanging out with other toxic people. If it wasn't someone I didn't want to be more like in some way, whether it's she's a great friend, she's a great mother, she's so good at her job, she has the most confidence. Each one of your friends should have one quality that you really look up to because again, that good energy rubs off too. And one thing I want to say about that is you don't have to be like positive Polly every fucking day. We're girls. We're allowed to have days where we are annoyed or someone says something that pisses us off or we're just sad or we feel bloated because it's that time of the month. Like we can't even control some of this sometimes. So I don't want it to sound like we never are allowed to say anything negative or, nothing is super cut and dry like it's made out to be on the internet. It really is a journey. Like you're allowed to have bad days still. You're allowed to do things where you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that about myself. I shouldn't have said that to someone else. Like I regret what I just did. The main key here is consistency and compassion. So say you do have a bad day where you're like, ugh, I don't even want to say the negative things because I don't want to put that energy out there. But if you're having a day where you're just not feeling great about yourself, recognize it, acknowledge it, and move on to something more positive. Just a reminder, we are still allowed to have bad days. Not everything is always sunshine and rainbows, unfortunately. We just need to try to make them as close to sunshine and rainbows as we can. And then my last self-love hack is action. You actually do have to do some work. It's not just all thoughts and prayers, right? What worked best for me was journaling. Amazing. The best thing I could have ever freaking done, because it's all there in writing. And sometimes I have a lot of thoughts in my head, there's just a lot going on there. It's good to get your thoughts out onto paper and then go back and be like, oh, I wrote that a year ago and I still feel the same way. That's great. Or, wow, I wrote that a year ago. That was kind of negative. And thank God I don't think that anymore. So I think it's just nice to have it documented on paper, on your laptop, whatever you feel like you need to do. This is my journal. I'm gonna share my deep, dark secrets. No, I'm just kidding. There's nothing that secret, honestly. There's nothing that juicy in here. I just want to share some practices that I did that helped. First of all, just get a cute notebook, get cute gel pens, get a cute highlighter, and make this a really fun process. And you need a candle too. Okay, I started February 2025, so a full year, and I cannot tell you how different I feel in the last year. It's insane, insanity. She was lost and confused. I do not know her. It's wild. Okay. First thing I did was a little bit of self-discovery practice. Who the f am I? What do I even want? It's a hard question to answer even if someone asked me today. Again, it's not cut and dry. I can't give you an elevator pitch on that. And things are allowed to change. I said this before, you are allowed to change what you want, what your views are, what your values are. I do feel like when I go back and look at this, I'm like, yes, this all makes sense in the grand scheme of things. First part I worked on was self-discovery, writing down what drives me, what motivates me to do life. When are the moments that I feel the most alive? I'll give you a couple examples of what I wrote down. Obviously, write what drives you, what motivates you. Mine is all of my ideas and entrepreneurship. I have had this podcast idea for probably a year now. Fashion, styling, sketching, journaling, design, being creative, travel and change of scenery, and growth and personal development. This reminds me of a quote I said last week. Maturing is being who you were as a child, but loving her this time. Because all of this, when I think back, is who I've always been. It's just that people were leeching it out of me. And I let that happen. Then I worked on defining my values, kind of similar, but what is important to me in life. Freedom to grow and change, which means I can't have anyone around who stunts that growth and change. Same thing, creativity, success and achievement, and balance. I love a good balance. I love to bop around the world and come back and sit home for a week or two to recover. That's balance for me. What are hobbies that align with your values? For me, creating, sketching, styling, goal setting, and vision boarding. Again, all of this is things I've felt forever. It just really helps to write it all down and see it here and look back and just remind yourself of what is important to you. If nothing was holding me back right now, what would I do? Travel the world and make money from content creation. A year ago, I wrote this and now it's happening in real life. What current parts of my life feel like they don't belong to me? Even reading this back right now, because I haven't read this in a while, is insane. Last year, I was in a relationship. I was living out further towards the country. I am a city girl. I like the suburbs, but I want to be either in the city or as close to the city as possible. Preferably a fun city like New York or LA. Corporate. Now I do not have a corporate job. That worked itself out. And feeling stagnant. So at the time I wasn't feeling like I was growing or adding anything to my life. And look at me now. This is seriously insane stuff. And the thing about journaling too, I think that there's a huge misconception that you need to be journaling every night. No. I would say weekly, when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling anxious, when something's bothering you, you can make it a weekly practice. But otherwise, It's not, you don't need to do it every day. That's a huge misconception. Next one was, when do I feel most alive, fulfilled, or proud of myself? When I'm traveling and when I'm creating content. Simple. And just describe your dream life. Write down all of the things that you want out of your life. The next thing that I started looking into was my soul's purpose. Why am I here? Why was I put onto this earth? Some people feel like they were put here to teach others, become a teacher. Some people feel like they were put here to become a mother. I knew that my purpose, and I know that my purpose is very, very, very different than everyone else's. I have very different values than other people. It is not a goal of mine to start a family. Like I want different things than other people. And that's confusing sometimes because it's not a social norm, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. We're allowed to want different things and respect each other when we have different values. So this really helped remind me that I have a purpose here, even though it's different than everyone else's. Maybe it's to share all of this with the girls. So how I did this was using AI to help figure it out. I'm not going to read through my soul's purpose because it's mine. I think you should work on figuring out your own. Obviously, mine is about freedom, movement, self-expression, creative things, and that's just who I am. And I think you need to figure out exactly who you are. This is crazy. Next thing I did was my core soul themes. Very similar, like what is at the core of my soul? Who the f*** am I? Oh my God. This is actually crazy. Okay. This is, first thing says, energy that guides my path. Freedom. So freedom to live on my own terms and do my own thing. Self-expression through style. Transformation says personal evolution. Oh my God. Girls, this is crazy. There is so much power in writing shit down. I can't believe that some of this is like just come true. Okay. Transformation says personal evolution, rebirth, and reinvention. Like I just said when we started. This whole thing has been completely transformative, and I do not know who she was a year ago, so that's part of my purpose here. Truth, living your real story even when it's messy, and inspiration, lighting a path for others by being fully me. It's exactly what I just said when I started this episode. It's exactly why I'm here. It's exactly why I'm doing all of this. I mean, this is insane. Soul gifts that show up in things I do. Turning emotional experiences into creative expression. Reading energy and picking up on what people really need. I do feel like this is another crazy, literally superpower. I'm basically a witch, but a crazy skill that I have is just reading people and feeling the energy and seeing what's really in there. And it's unfortunate and it's so hard sometimes because there's people that I want to like and I want to be friends with, but I see the dark energy in there and I cannot surround myself with that. I feel like I haven't been on this journey long enough. Maybe, it is a journey. I'm still working on healing. Maybe when I'm more healed, I'll be able to be around that energy. But for now, I have to like fully compartmentalize it and only be around good vibes. But yeah, it's very hard when I can immediately pick up on people's energy and I'm like, oh no, that's ugly. That's ugly on the inside. And we've all been there. I'm just like, you need to heal. Using fashion to tell stories, making people feel seen, empowered, and understood. I hope so. I really hope so. And navigating change with courage. Aligned life paths. So just look into like careers and opportunities that are best for what your soul's purpose is. Mine is creative leadership, storytelling, Spiritual and emotional growth. This is actually fucking insane. Growth areas, I needed to release the fear of being too much or not enough, letting go of control and trusting the unknown, accepting that not everyone will get me and still choosing to shine. I worked on healing those growth areas. It's just the same themes repeated over and over, and it's just like, okay, this is really who I am. And now I get to own that. And that is what I want for you guys. When you start to write things down, you'll notice these patterns and be like, oh yeah, I'm that bitch. Where do I feel like I'm pretending or performing? The first one, corporate. Okay. If I woke up tomorrow with no fear or shame, what would I do? I wrote down, live in a new city. This is a good one. Describe yourself when you're alone. I think, like I said with energy, like you pick up on people's energy. When you're around people, you sort of do become who they are. You're a sum of the people you surround yourself with. So spending more alone time is so important to becoming you. When you're alone, the only person you can be is yourself. So when you're on this self-love journey, spending a lot of time alone is very, very important. Okay, so basically I defined everything about who I am, who I want to be, and looked into how to heal the parts of me that needed healing. So that is pretty much just the core of what I have in this journal. I think the purpose of writing it all down is obviously to help you see things clearer and to just be able to go back and reference it whenever you need to make a decision or whenever you forget what a baddie you are. You need to remember you are that girl. You're on the right path. This is the decision you should make because it aligns most with what I actually want. Things like that. I really think that we are 90% good souls that just need healing because the world is ugly and the world tried to tear us down. And girl power. And I can't believe I cried. Okay. A couple other small action items aside from journaling is doing affirmations. So again, I use AI for this and I will ask chat, this is how I'm feeling. For example, last time I did it was, I'm feeling like I'm not productive lately. Or I'm starting to feel really spread thin. I feel like I'm not doing a good job at fostering my friendships right now because I'm working on these things for myself, but I feel guilty. I feel tired. I feel like I'm starting to burn out. Give me some affirmations that I can write down to help me work through this. And affirmations are so helpful also. Setting boundaries and saying no without guilt. Again, I just said, these are things I'm still working through. I felt guilt. I feel guilty for not seeing my friends in the past month or two. So I'm setting boundaries because I'm doing things for myself. And I know that my friends understand because they're amazing. So why do I still feel this guilt? I don't know. It's a little bit of people pleasing and just I'm recognizing in real time this is something I still need to work on. Okay, so that is pretty much it for my advice you didn't ask for section. We really got deep this week. This was so serious. Again, I just really hope this helps someone work through whatever they're working through and remember what a bad bitch you are. Next section is our hot girl homework for the week. This is where we take everything we just talked about and I give you some homework. Obviously, we've been talking about self-love and journaling, so what I need you to do this week is get yourself a cute journal, get the gel pens, get the markers, get a candle, get a blanket, and start your own self-love journey. Commit to journaling once a week, even if it's just for the next month. And tell me what you learned. So before we wrap things up, we get into our for the plot section. This is where typically you would give me the scenario and I dress you for it. But today I'm going to give you the scenario and I'm going to dress you for it. You're staying home, doing a little self-love, doing some self-care, and journaling. So what you're going to wear for it is cute, comfy PJs. I have tried a lot of different pajama brands in the past year because I've been spending a lot more time alone. My favorite that are cute, comfy, and good quality are Aerie. By far, I don't know what it is. Like, it's so soft. It's just the softest, nicest material. I've thrown them in the wash every 2 days and they haven't fallen apart. The coloring is still nice. Like, the prints are so cute. Whatever they're doing at Aerie, they're doing it right. So that's what you're going to wear this week for the plot, for your journaling. And then before we wrap things up, I do just have one group chat update. In the next week, I will be at New York Fashion Week, so I won't be recording an episode that week. So we're going to skip a week and then get back to regular recording after that. So maybe listen to this episode twice because this was such a good, important one. That's all we've got today. Thanks so much for being here and getting hotter with me. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review and follow us on socials at hot.unbothered. Submit any topics you want to talk about over the next couple weeks. And please don't gatekeep me. Share me with your girlfriends. We can all be girlfriends together. And that's it. Be hot and stay unbothered. Bye. I've got a mic and I'm not afraid to use it. That's all I have to say about that. That's a red flag. And remember, be hot and stay unbothered. Bye.